Nobody carries football like Brazil does. For some countries, football is entertainment. For Brazil, football is identity. It's joy, it's pain, it's pressure passed from generation to generation. This is the nation that gave the world Pelé, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Neymar, players that made football feel less like a sport and more like art. But here's the terrifying truth. Brazil hasn't won the World Cup in over 2 decades. And for a country this obsessed with greatness, that feels unacceptable. Every 4 years, the world says the same thing. This is Brazil's year. And every 4 years, something goes wrong. A collapse, a tactical disaster, an emotional meltdown, a single mistake that turns into national heartbreak. Now, the world is watching a completely different Brazil generation rise. More modern, more tactical, more explosive, but maybe less Brazilian than ever before. And, honestly, that might be exactly what makes them dangerous. The 2002 Brazil team felt untouchable. Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, that wasn't a football team. That was a football myth. They played with freedom, confidence, joy. You watched them smiling while destroying opponents. But after that generation disappeared, everything changed. Brazil slowly became obsessed with proving they were modern, more tactical, more controlled, more European. And somewhere along the way, they lost part of what made Brazil terrifying. The fearlessness disappeared. Instead of dancing through pressure, Brazil started fearing failure. That fear exploded in 2014. The 7-1 against Germany didn't just destroy a team, it traumatized an entire football culture. Ever since that night, Brazil has looked like a nation trying to recover its confidence. This generation of Brazilian players didn't grow up like the old legends. Most of them were exported to Europe as teenagers. That matters, because now Brazil's stars are being developed inside elite tactical systems before they even become adults. Vinicius learned under Real Madrid pressure. Rodrigo learned how to survive Champions League chaos. Brazilian footballers today understand pressing systems, defensive structures, transitions, spacing, things older Brazilian teams sometimes ignored. This is probably the most tactically educated Brazil squad ever. But there's a trade-off. Some fans believe Brazil became too robotic, too structured, too safe. And that creates a huge question heading into the World Cup. Can Brazil still produce magic when the pressure becomes unbearable? Because tactics alone don't win World Cups. Sometimes you need insanity. Vinicius Jr. might become the most dangerous player of the entire tournament. Not because he's flashy, because he plays angry. For years, people mocked him for poor finishing. Defenders kicked him constantly. Crowds insulted him. The pressure at Real Madrid nearly crushed him. But instead of breaking, he evolved. Now he attacks defenders with pure violence. Every sprint feels personal. And in knockout football, players like that become terrifying. Especially when Brazil has space to counterattack. If Vinicius gets confidence early in the tournament, the entire competition could become chaos. Because momentum changes everything in World Cups. Just ask Kylian Mbappé. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Brazil still struggles against organized defensive teams. When opponents sit deep and refuse to attack, Brazil sometimes looks lost. There's no classic Brazilian number 9 anymore. No Ronaldo. No Adriano. No striker that defenders fear for 90 minutes. That changes everything. Because World Cups are brutal. You eventually face teams that defend with 10 men behind the ball. And those matches are decided by tiny moments. That's exactly why Croatia eliminated Brazil. Brazil lost emotional control because they couldn't kill the game. And honestly, that weakness still exists. This team can destroy open games, but tight games, ugly games, nervous games, that's where the real test begins. But maybe all the pain finally created maturity. This Brazil team feels emotionally tougher than previous generations. Less ego, more sacrifice. Older Brazil squads sometimes looked like collections of superstars. This squad feels like an actual team. And tournament football rewards balance, not beauty. Brazil doesn't need to play beautiful football every match anymore. They just need to survive. One ugly win becomes confidence. Confidence becomes momentum. Momentum becomes belief. And once Brazil starts believing, they become terrifying. Because no country understands World Cup pressure better than them. They've lived inside that pressure for generations. Brazil doesn't enter World Cups hoping to compete. Brazil enters every World Cup believing history belongs to them. That's the burden of being football's greatest nation. And now, another generation carries that pressure. A generation trying to restore the empire. Maybe they fail again. Maybe another heartbreaking moment waits around the corner. Because football can be cruel to Brazil, what do you think? Can Brazil finally win the World Cup again? Or will history repeat itself one more time?